Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a CSS framework. You guys know very well about frameworks. Frameworks is the developer's work by making use of reusable components from these frameworks. Okay, so that you don't have to write things from scratch. For example, guys who are struggling with media queries, so instead of writing code for media queries from scratch, use like Bootstrap, which already caters for that, so that you can have a responsive application or website. So a framework is basically a collection of reusable components that makes it more efficient to develop new applications or software. So like they already built components that all you need to do is consume them. When I say consume, it means that you just use them, and yeah, we just use them in your application, and so that you don't have to develop components from scratch. Okay, so when you look at their website, they're saying build fast, okay, responsive sites with Bootstrap. The most important component item here is responsiveness. I know they are also very fast, because what does it mean? That you're not going to code CSS for your you're not going to code much CSS for your application. All you're going to do is consume components or classes from Bootstrap. Okay, so if here is a command you can use to install Bootstrap. npm install Bootstrap. npm in full is Node Package Manager. Okay, but use this one when you're working with JavaScript frameworks or libraries like React, Next.js, or Angular. That's where I use Node Package Manager. But for just what we are going to do, like mere HTML, all you have to do is either import what we call the CDN links, content delivery network links. CDN is content delivery network. Or you just download Bootstrap and then you consume it locally. Okay, so here you can read the docs, the documentation. I always want you guys to read documentation for these frameworks, whatever you're looking at. Okay, so always make use of Bootstrap. So here it gets how do you get started with Bootstrap? Get started with Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a powerful, feature-packed front-end toolkit. It's for front-end, not back-end. It's used to design applications, how they look like. Okay, the design, just like you guys use CSS. So instead of coding a lot of CSS on your own, you consume or you use classes from Bootstrap, and they will do exactly what you want to do. So they are saying that build anything from prototype to production in minutes, meaning that it's a framework. You reuse components, meaning that you're going to develop your application very fast. Okay, someone who's going to code CSS, a lot of CSS files from scratch, is going to take a lot of time. But if I use components which are already existing, it means I'm going to use less time. So that's the significance of using frameworks like or toolkits like Bootstrap. Okay, so quick start. That's where I'm going to start from. They are saying get started by including Bootstrap production ready CSS. It's production ready. Yeah, meaning that the what we call minified files, for example, their CSS files are minified, or they have been bundled for production use or development use. So it is anyone can use this framework so that they get started with their work very fast, so that they can ship or deploy their products very fast once they've developed their application. So create a new index file. This is what they are saying. Okay, so I'm just going to show you and I demonstrated a few things in Bootstrap, then we call it a day. Create a new index file, new.index file. In your project root, include the meta tag that has the name viewport, which is used for proper responsive behavior in mobile devices. So some of you are developing websites and they are not responsive. On your machine, on your laptop, it's so responsive, it looks very nice. But when you test on a machine, on mobile devices, like it's weird. Okay, for example, if I go to my portfolio, you see it looks kawa. It looks kawa on the laptop. You can see it looks very good on laptop. Okay, but let's test inspect. I said that if you want to test responsiveness, you right click and go to inspect, and then there's this cupboard the device toolbar, this one. So you can keep changing the devices here. Maybe how is it going to look like on iPhone 12 Pro, and you can see it's still responsive. You can see it still looks nice. Okay, this is how it will look like on a phone, and that is iPhone 12 Pro. Okay, put like maybe Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. You see, still it's responsive. My website is responsive. If it was not responsive, it would look weird on different devices, but you see it still maintain the responsiveness. Okay, you can put maybe iPad mini. Okay, and you see it's still what? Responsive. So I used Bootstrap here, for example. So Bootstrap helps you in making sure that your website is responsive. Okay, your website is what? Is responsive, and they're telling you that for responsiveness you have to include this meta tag, and with name viewport tag, as well as for proper responsive behavior in mobile devices. So imagine you achieve responsiveness by just including this tag. You don't have to write a lot. You don't have to write CSS media queries for all that. Okay, just use a few classes or tags that they are telling you to use, and you're done. Just one line and it solves the responsiveness. That's the good thing with these CSS frameworks. Another CSS framework which we will look at in the long run is called Tailwind. I personally use Tailwind most in my projects. Tailwind CSS is like Bootstrap. It also provides classes, but today's class we are just going to look at Bootstrap. Okay, so just going to come here and create a project. Okay, just going to create a project which we are going to import. So we're going to make a directory. You can create a folder, but I like using commands. I can say Bootstrap app. Okay, so I'm making a directory or a folder called Bootstrap app. So I'm going to cd Bootstrap app. So like creating a folder, right? Then I open this project. Open project. I've called it Bootstrap app. Okay, so in my directory it's here. Well, Bootstrap app. Okay, new window. Okay, so when I open new window, it's here. Hope you guys can see this. So I can open the terminal and I create, if you want you can right click and create a new file here. So new file, it's HTML file. Okay, so I can call it index.html because that's what they're telling us. By default it has created for me the template code for HTML. So here I can type, we are going to run Bootstrap today. Okay, and then when I run here, we are able to see our file, our website, or our web application. Now, so they're saying that create index file and do this. So the difference that we are including this particular what we don't have, this meta tag for responsiveness. They are saying include the meta tag, meta name viewport tag for proper responsive behavior on mobile devices. Let's try to inspect this and we see how it looks like. Okay, it's kawa. It looks this is cool. Okay, this is cool, but as you develop more stuff, you realize that you're trying to lose responsiveness. So that's why we need this tag for responsiveness. So I've added their meta viewport for proper responsive look or appearance on mobile devices. Okay, so that's the first instruction. Next is include Bootstrap CSS and JS. JS is JavaScript. Okay, they're saying press the link in the head section. Of course, you remember we include CSS by using the link tag. Okay, and we import JavaScript by using script tag. For those people who have not looked at maybe JavaScript, we use the script tag to import our CSS. Now in this case, I'm going to download. If you want, you can use these links. These are online links. Okay, let's first start with online links. Okay, so they're saying you include the CSS, Bootstrap CSS file and JavaScript using the link and the script tag. The script tag for JavaScript, the link tag for CSS. So for CSS, the link is this one. Okay, so you make sure you include Bootstrap by including this link, and you can see it's this link cdn.jsdeliver.net npm. So they're including a Bootstrap, a CSS file, because it's called bootstrap.min css. So this one is online, so we can copy this, or it's the CDN link. That's why you see CDN dot content delivery network. Okay, that's why it's hosted. So we are going to include in the head section. So here with this we've included our Bootstrap CSS. Okay, because you can see it's bootstrap.mini.css, which is a link that is hosted online on content delivery network. Next, they are telling us to include a script tag, which is a bundled JavaScript tag. Okay, so we are going to include this JS because they've told you to include both CSS and JavaScript. So we first imported CSS, now we are going to include JavaScript. So they are telling us to put it just right after within the body. Okay, so we can put it here. So at this point we've included a Bootstrap. We've imported Bootstrap in our website. All we have to do is now to use classes. Bootstrap uses classes for you to design websites. You use now classes. Now you've already included Bootstrap. Now you consume classes from these Bootstrap libraries for you to design your website. Okay, so now if, for example, let me show you, if I run this, you see we have this is our h1. Okay, so I put use a class and I say text success, and when you go back to our site, you see it's green. That text success is a Bootstrap class that makes a text appear green. Have you seen me code CSS? No. There is another one called text danger, which makes it red, and when you go back, you see it's red. So that's Bootstrap. Now let's see if I remove this link for Bootstrap, and then we go back here. We've lost it. We no longer see our text danger appearing. It's not red. So it means that we've not imported CSS. We've not imported Bootstrap. So that means even if you use the class text danger, it's not going to work. So that's why now if we go back, we find it there. Okay, there are different components now. I've shown you how to import Bootstrap using CDN links. Maybe later on we can see how to use maybe before we go to use before we see how to use those classes, let's see how. Now here we use the online links. These ones. What if you want to use local links? There you download. Okay, there's a download button here, so you come here, they're saying download ready to use compiled code for Bootstrap. The latest version is always here. If you click here, you see different versions. The latest is 5.33. There is also 5.23, 5.13. So if you enter some organization, you find that some of the applications, they are using old versions of Bootstrap, and so you must maintain using that. So if you want to do that, you just change by clicking here, and then for it will reflect. Now I've chosen 5.0, and you've seen it has even changed in the link here, 5.0. If I change to 5.13, you see it 5.1. And thereafter, even the docs change automatically to reflect the selected version. But here we're going to go with the latest, which is okay. which is 5.3. Okay, just put 5.3 and we go back there. So I'm going to come here and then you download. Okay, so you are going to come here and download Bootstrap, and maybe I save it in downloads. When you save it in downloads, it's done here. I locate it here, so it's a zipped file. I unzip here. Okay, I just want to extract here. Okay, so when I extract, it's here, Bootstrap 5.33 dist folder. Okay, so you can rename and call it Bootstrap. The 5.33 is to indicate the version. So when you open, you find that there is a CSS folder which has very many CSS files, and also there is a JavaScript file. Okay, this JavaScript folder. So then you copy this folder that you've extracted. So I've copied it, and I'll take it to my project root directory. So my project is under projects, and then our app, it's called our project, we called it Bootstrap app, and then I paste it here. Okay, so when you go back to code, you realize that our folder is here. So here we are not going to use online links. We are using we've downloaded, so we are going to use Bootstrap, the one that we've downloaded, and then we have included it in our project. So the importance of using the one you've downloaded is that even if you lose network, let's say you're designing and you don't have internet, your website will be working with Bootstrap. But now, if we go offline, if I don't have internet and I'm using this Bootstrap, it will not reflect because this is an online link. This is an online link, okay? So, but if you've downloaded and you've imported in your website, if you've imported that Bootstrap folder in your website, and then you've imported the CSS and JavaScript from this folder, even if you go offline, your Bootstrap will still work. So we are using from the if you see here, they are using the bootstrap.mini file, bootstrap.mini.css, which is in the CSS folder. And if you go to our CSS here, you realize that you have the bootstrap mini file. It should be there. Okay, it's here, bootstrap.mini.css. So the one we are using. So instead of this online link, we are going to come here and say we put Bootstrap, okay, stroke CSS stroke Bootstrap. It's called bootstrap.mini.css. So which means that instead of using previously we were using an online link, now we are using this the min file, the CSS Bootstrap mini file from this Bootstrap that we've downloaded. Next is this JavaScript file. Let's see what they're importing. They're importing one. I'm going to remove this, bootstrap.bundle.mini.js. So if you go to the JavaScript folder, we'll find it here, bootstrap.bundle.mini.js. So which is there. So all we have to do is put Bootstrap here, Bootstrap. So you can see it's there, Bootstrap. If you do this, bootstrap.js, then Bootstrap, I think it is okay. The link is this. Okay, so it's there. Now we are good. So right now, if I go back to our website here, you still see that it's still reflecting. But now you remove like an S here, which means that this file is not there. Let's check. We've lost it. We are not seeing we are not seeing our Bootstrap because we are importing a file that does not exist. In other words, it's mini.css. Now it's there. When we go back, we see the results. So that's Bootstrap. Good. So now I've shown you how to import the CSS file and JS file, the ones that you've downloaded. Okay, so now we can go ahead and see some of the things that you can create with Bootstrap. There are very many. The section is here. There is layout, and then there is content, where you have topography, images, tables. How do I style my tables, for example, in using Bootstrap? Okay, now for example, for layout, there is what we call container. Now container, there is container flood and then container just container. So it's for layouts. Now for container, it's when you want to set maximum width, but that is fluid, that is responsive. Okay. For there's container and then container fluid. Container is fixed, container fluid is responsive. Okay. So let's see what happens with, let's say I want to create, let's say you create a div. So it's for layout, so we are going to use a div section, and then we put this here, then we put a class called container. Okay. So when you do this and then you come back to our website, you see we have this. Okay. When you use container fluid, so it's sort of like creating something for your layout. Okay. Still you can see this one, see where it is. You have the word at the start. If you put container, you see there's some space from the start. Okay. So for container, it has a fixed width. Okay. For container width, it is full width. It's a container for full width, you know, but it's not fixed. It's full width. And but normally you would want to use maybe, you know, container if you want like a fixed width but still responsive. But for container fluid, it must, you have your section or your div occupy the entire width. So you will explore all these layouts, and you see, you play around with them. You say container large, you see what happens. There's what we call grid. Grid sort of creates like columns. Assume you want to organize your data in columns. So you sort of create row and then you put column. Row, use row. Then you see you have one row, but you want to create different content. For example, if you see, let's go back to my website. I have here this section which is talking about certain things, you know, some background. Then here I have like an image. So it's like one row, but first column you have this information, then the second column you have like an image. So that's what we call grid. Okay, that's what we call what? Grid. You have a row, then you have what we call row, then you create columns. So it's that simple. Okay, so let's do an example. So we can change this to running Bootstrap. Then we can say div. You create div. So you're going to create a row class, use row, a class called row. Then for columns, you use div. Then you give a class column call. Okay, so so I've created, now if you can see, I've created one row, because if I tap here, you see our column starts there, it's here. Then within one row, within this row, we have 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. So I can get some content. If you do this, is nothing because we don't have any content. Text, generated text. There's a website for generated text. What is it called? Yeah, I think it's this one will provide us with some auto-generated text that we can copy and use, yeah, for testing purposes. So I put this one in the first column, then I put this one in the next column. So you can even see this guy, he has 2 columns here. He has this one and this. So this can be one row, and then you put this. Okay, so we get this, but for us we've created 3 columns, 1 row but 3 columns. Okay, we paste that, then we get this, and then we put this. Okay, so when you go back to our website, you see what happens. Do you see it? We have one row, but your data is now in columns. There is this, there is this, there is this. So I believe this can be very important. Okay, so let me see what I can do. Justify, can say justify even. So there are different classes that you can consume from Bootstrap, so that you happen to design your website as you need. Okay, so that's enough. For example, grid, you sort of create your content in columns. So we finished that. I just want to show a few things, then you can always explore. Okay, so that's showing you how you can create columns. Still, you see it's what we've done. Yeah, so yeah, you create a row, then columns. So that's basically it. Yeah, so there are different classes, you can always play around them. Align items, and you know how it places content, if you want to put it at the center. So you can do it and see how it happens. For example, here it is at the start. Align items at the start. So when we put this, and then that class align items at the start, and we go back here, you see it's almost the default. But what if we put at the center, align items center? So if we, instead of this, we put center, and then we go back, we can see now it's at the center. Originally they were starting from the top here, they are almost close here, but now the data is in the what? Content is in the center. Let's revert back so that you can see the difference. If we are at the start, you see it's starting from the start. You see, from exactly after running, you have it here. But if you put center, okay, okay, Control Z, align, good enough, align items at the center. When you put center, you see it goes center. Yeah, there's some space from lining up here. Let's see if you put end, align items end, you see there's more space, sort of drops down a bit. So you can consume those classes. Okay, so it's up to you to use whatever you would like to. So best on the website you're designing, you go and check with Bootstrap, how do I organize my content like this, and then it will provide you, the Bootstrap will provide you with classes that you can use to organize your content. Topography. So I just want to to show you a few things, then you explore the rest of these in your own time. Topography is, let's say you want heading 1, H1. Let's see how they look like. Okay, you can use you can make head H1, H2. So by just making like a paragraph, okay, heading 1, instead of using H, you use classes. So our row is starting from here, so we can create another div here, and then we put whatever I want to say. So I'll create, again go and create, maybe get this, what is create this, get this title, and then paste it here. So if we go to our website, we have this text here, you see it here. Okay, now assume you want space, between this div that has this information. We can put start here, so that our content becomes okay, organized. So you can see now you have space. But even though, okay, I will introduce the other concept of what I wanted to show you, or what I wanted to show you later on. Let me skip that for now. So you can see our text is very small here, and it's a paragraph. Assume we want to make it like heading 1. Instead of using H1, you use class, then you give it H1. Okay, meaning that this paragraph, the whatever content you have here, it is heading 1. It will be like, the font will be like of heading 1. So you can see it, H1. You're not writing CSS, you're just using classes, and stuff are flowing. So for example, yeah, so that's basically, if you say maybe H2, it keeps on of course reducing size, H2, now this is H2. If you put H6, heading 6, of course we stop at heading 6, and then you see how it looks like. Okay, if you put h3, so you can see h3 is that. Okay, then we also have what we call display. Display 1, display 2. So it's different based on how the website you're designing might find that, oh, my text needs to be like h1 or display 1. So if we make it display 1, so display 1, you see it looks a little bit bigger. So the classes are here. You can say display dash 1, display. Don't think I'm getting these things from heaven. It's just display 1. And when you look at this, you can see how it looks like. So big, okay? If you put display 2, I'm sure now you guys are going to like this. If you say display 2, it reduces in size. If you say display maybe 4, say it reduces in size. So let's see if your website is responsive. You can see our website is responsive. This is on a mobile phone, iPhone. If you put iPhone 14, this is how it looks like. If you put this is how it looks like. We have our columns. You don't have to Samsung. That's how it looks like. Okay, so we can go ahead and look at a few more things. Next is I want to introduce like margin. I don't know, margin must be somewhere. Margin. Okay, if you're lost, where don't know where they're found, you can you search margin, so you can find space under spacing. So I've searched margin and it's here. So you see we have stuff like margin. M means margin, P means padding. If you put T, it means margin top. Okay, T means top, B means bottom. So for example, when you cut a website, there's no space. If I want some space from the top for this learning so that it's a bit down, it starts from a bit down, so I will use what we call margin top. Okay, so there's a class for margin top. Bootstrap provides that. So it's margin, you use margin, then followed by T. Okay, for example, in CSS you would write something like margin top. So here in Bootstrap you use like MT. That's why, meaning margin, then top, then you specify the value. So I can come here and say, this where I have learning, I want this header to be from the top. So you say M. You see, you even have this. They even show you margin top maybe 4. Okay, you have margin top 1, 0. So they are there. So you see when you go back, see now there's space from the top. There's space from the top. So that's margin top. So if you remove it, you see it's now back at the top, the word, our learning Bootstrap today. Okay, but if I put it margin top 5, see now we have space. You see now stuff, you're not doing a lot, you're not writing CSS, you're just consuming the classes from Bootstrap. Next, so that's margin. Padding, you guys know about padding. If you want to use padding, use PT. Padding that's padding top. If you want to maybe say padding bottom, then use PB, which is padding bottom. So for example, let's use padding bottom here. So I'm going to put a paragraph here, and then I go and copy text from here. Another text. Maybe I can copy this one, and when I copy that, I put it here. So when I put it here, you can see we have this. Okay, but display is the one which is causing display, because it's big in size, creates that margin. Okay, so assume we don't have display 4 here, so I'm going to remove it. So you see now, okay, it's created by padding. Okay, by this the first paragraph. Paragraphs, they always create space, vertical space. So you can use span. So when I use span, you see they are close to each other. There is no space. This title and this, there is no space. So if I want, let's say I want space between this what is this text, and then this one we can use margin bottom. Okay, so you will come here and say class, then I say margin bottom, I say 5, and when you come we can, let me see, let's use a div with most apply instead of a span. So you can see there is space. Okay, there is what, there is space. If I remove this, if you put, let's say, margin bottom 1, you see the space reduces. If you put 3, 4, you see it's a bit, now it goes there. So that's how you can use margin bottom. We go to the next. There are a couple of things that you can do here. So you can always come and check out these classes, whatever I want to do. For example, if you want to create a table, if you want to create a table, they come and show you how to create a table. Let's design our table. Let me invite some questions for now, if there are any, before we look at the next. Yes, any questions? Any questions? Oh, we are good. Okay, Selena, go first.
Samuel, I don't have a question, but I just want to understand something.
Yes.
Does it mean if I'm using the Bootstrap, I don't need to write my CSS codes?
Yes, it's possible you can write an entire it's possible that you can write your website without using any CSS. It's very possible. But at one point you might find that what you need, Bootstrap maybe is not doing it, but maybe you want to apply some CSS. Like you can only achieve it when you apply your own CSS. But so for example, like right now, I have designed this minus using any CSS. So I'm saying that it is very possible you can write a website, your website, like a simple website, like this form. This is like a simple web page. I've not done any CSS. But at one point you might find that what you want to achieve, Bootstrap is not giving you that, but maybe you have to write your own CSS. So Bootstrap, if Bootstrap makes you write less CSS if you write CSS, because you will find most times you're using its classes. Esther Chelsea, you had another question. Please, you had a question. Please go ahead.
Actually, my question was the same as the one for Celine.
Okay, so you guys have understood that?
As inquiring also whether when you're using Bootstrap, you don't need to use CSS.
Yes, the question they just I hope I've explained that well.
Yes.
Yes, good. So you see, my web page looks good, and you know, I haven't done any CSS. Okay, so yes, Ronald, please go on.
Okay, so like my question is, do you like, just in case you want to add the CSS, do you put it in that Bootstrap code, or you just create your own file?
You create your own file. Okay, let me show you. You create your own file. So for example, I like using external CSS. So I create here folder. I call it CSS, and then I create a style sheet. I call it style or styles. Okay, so it's here. So I can say maybe this one. I create a class, my own class. I say I say maybe standard. Okay, so I've created what I've done. I've created a CSS folder, and I've put a CSS file where I'm going to define my own CSS. CSS styles. Okay, so I need to import this style first, this style sheet, or the file, CSS file. So I say link href, and it is under CSS. You can see, then it's called styles.css. Then we say rare style sheet, and then we can close this. Then I want to apply styles for this standard. Bootstrap does not have a CSS class called standard, but I'm defining mine. So I'm going to go here and say it's a class. So you say for a class you start with the dot, then you put the name of the class, maybe color, I say red. Okay, so when you do that, you see I've applied it red. You can see the text, my text is red here because I've defined my own CSS. If I put blue, let's say if I put green, and then you come here, you see now it's green. Okay, if we put orange, you see it's what? It's orange. So I hope I've answered your question, Ronald. Have I?
Yes, sir. You
Good.
have answered
Okay.
it. Yes.
Let's finish with tables. There are very many things you can do. Creating forms, maybe we should look at tables and forms, and then we call it a day. Then others you just check. There are very many things. Check boxes, what, yeah. So let's create a simple table. So you go back here and we create another div to hold our table. How do we create a table? Use the table, guys. You've created a table, so you know. Use the table tag. Then it has the head. Then we give it a row. Then we have table head. You guys know this. This is pure HTML. This is no Bootstrap, so I don't expect questions here because you guys know. But in case you have a question, you can always ask us where I ask you. You know, I respond to you. Name, address, then program. Okay. Then table head. So of course after table head, if there is table body, so we give it a row, and then we have TD. So you can say name Magembe Ronald, and then the next is Coro address is in Kampala. Program is cyber security. Okay, next we put another row. Then we have TD, Julia. I hope I've written your names well. TD. The next is maybe she's in Ginger. Maybe AI. Don't mind if I change your course. I just change data. TD. Okay. And no, TR first create a table row. TR is table row, then table definition. So the first is the name. You can put Esther Chels. Then next is the address, Mokono. Next is the program, maybe computer science. Okay, so when you come back to our website, realize that you have a funny website, a funny table here. It's not well designed, it's very cluttered. Okay, someone has a question. What in case you have a question you can intervene, you can interrupt when I'm coding, yeah, because sometimes I don't see what you guys are doing, are raising here. So you see we have a table but it looks disorganized, eh? So you use a class here on the table. Here on the table from Bootstrap, you use a class. Bootstrap has a class called table. It has a class called table. So you put table, and when you go back, you notice there's a difference. You see how it's well organized. You've not written any CSS for this, but it's very well organized. So you can always check their website to see what else they have. You see they have colors. You can give cells colors, maybe table primary. So you can come here and say table primary, and you see what happens. If you go back to our website, you see how it looks like now. Okay, there's another one called table, maybe danger. Okay, instead of table primary, say table danger, and when you go back to our website, you see how it looks like. Okay, so you can always, there's also table dark, and when you go back, you see how it looks like. Okay, you see what is happening here. So it's up to you to, based on how you want to design your thing. You go and see the classes you can use. If we check our responsiveness and we increase, we can see that on Samsung Galaxy we still have our, much of our work responsive. So in case it's not responsive, you ought to use different classes that make it responsive. There's what we call table stripped, which puts strips in your tables. Table stripped, and when you put table stripped, this is how it looks like. Yeah, it puts strips. Yeah, you can see what has happened. That's the stripped table. So you can always check and see, how do I design my table? How can I achieve A, B, C, D? They have those classes, so you can always come and check. Okay, so you can see that we've designed our table without doing much. We just use a class table. It's also, I think, called table responsive, so that your table can be responsive on different devices. Okay, so imagine doing this when so we can put black or gray, so that yeah, or if you put black, yeah, so we have this Bootstrap. Bootstrap has a text here. We put standard, has a class called, I think, text muted, yes, and it's sort of, you can see it mutes. It's not black enough. Mute somehow makes it a bit like muted, if you know, like a muted text. If you notice the difference, when I remove muted, if I just mute, change it like that, it's the entire black, so it makes like text dim. Okay, but when I put muted, so it makes it dim. So it's up to you to know, what do I want to achieve, so that you exactly achieve whatever I want to achieve using the Bootstrap classes. So there are different stuff. You can check out the radio buttons or check boxes, it's up to you to know. Then there is a form. Okay, there are forms. Assume you want to design a form. Okay, you having maybe registration form, so you can come here and say div, then we maybe create a div, register with PivoSoft Coding Academy now. Okay, so can say maybe h2, and maybe you can say text danger. Okay, when you go back, so we have register with PivoSoft Coding Academy now down there. So what we want to do, we can create a form with form fields. You guys know how to create forms. If you've not learned that, it's not too late, go and learn. So you can say first name, then we say first name, then here we put input. This is pure HTML, so you guys, I'm sure you know HTML. Type equals text, name equals first name, ID equals first name. Okay, so when you do this, when you go back, realize that you have this. Let me first create okay, so we can say margin bottom maybe 5, so that we can have some visible space down. So yeah, so you see it's a weird text here. It's a weird text. So it's a weird form control. Like, it looks weird. It doesn't look so organized. Yeah, just a simple text. But Bootstrap has a class called form control. So when you put form control here, and then you go back, you can see how it looks like. Very well organized. Very well what? Organized. Then you can continue and design the rest. So instead of wasting time, I'll copy and paste this. I'll copy this. If you want, you can bold. If you want to bold, use bold, you can check. I think it's bold. I've spent time without using Bootstrap, but I think it's bold, or FW bold or bolder. You can always check out. Let's see. You can always check out Bootstrap. I normally use Tailwind. Bold. Font weight bold. Okay, let's check. There's a class for bolding. In some Bootstrap frameworks, they would only use bold. Then some would use font weight bold. So I don't still remember. Let me see. Let's see. Font weight. No. If you say bold, should be applying. But maybe it depends on. Let's try to use. Let me first convert this to a div, and yeah, so you can see it's now bold. So some tags may not consume some classes. Okay, you see when you use, for example, like label does not consume what? Bold. See when you put it back. Okay, so label consumes that, so the class is FW bold. So I don't know why it was not changing. So if you want bold, use bold. I think there is also bolder. Yeah, so you can always play around with those classes to see what you can achieve. So I'm just going to copy and paste so that we can have last name here, last name, then here last name. Then we can also put maybe email. Okay, so we put here email, email. The type changes to email here because there is email type, and then you put here email. Okay, so if you go back, you have first name, last name, email. So you can always organize your registration form the way you want. Okay, so if you go to form control, text area is also there, so you can see you put text area. If I bring this, so now you see our form is not well organized. The first name, they are somehow cluttered here. So if you want, you can decide to put this one in div, then each section for label and input. So you create div, then here you put margin bottom. Put margin bottom 3. So it will put like margin bottom. Even here, we shall put div, and then we put class margin bottom 3. Then here we do the same div, then we put margin bottom 3. Okay, so when we go back, yeah, you see now there is space. It's somehow well organized our form. Okay, you can include placeholder, of course that's not Bootstrap, but this HTML. So you can say enter your first name. Here you include placeholder, enter your last name. Okay, then no, that is email. Okay, so looks like I've mixed them. So just copy this, put here. This one changes to last name, this one changes to email. Okay, and when you check, you can see you have your placeholders, but that is not Bootstrap, that's HTML. Okay, so you can copy this to put text area. If I wanted to decode that, don't have good enough, you've understood. Still, the difference is that you just use form control for it to appear very nice. So you can see, so you can instead of example text area, you put biography. Maybe you want them to enter their biography, short biography, if you want to call it. Okay, so we can use F bold, okay, and so we can use bold, not border. And so we have that. Okay, so what is here? It was supposed to be here, so that we have biography as well, like that. So make use of Bootstrap. There's what we call a card. There are things that you must. There are very many things, interesting things. Bootstrap has very many interesting things, guys. So you expect that now you're not going to hustle a lot. There's what we call a card. A card looks like this. So we can put our. You see how a card looks like? Yeah. So it puts stuff in a card. So whatever our div that we've created that has this information. So starting from here. So I can give this one card. You put card, you just put card. Then here you make it card title. Okay. Then here before the form we can create another div. So a card has title, has border as well. Card body. Okay. Then we paste here. Okay. So if we go back here, you see how you see our there's a bound there's a this it's sort of in a rectangle which is called a what, a card, and I think a card has a header, right? You can always cross check and see. We used call it card head or card header. Panel header. There's also what we call so we can do this and then say div, and then we say card. I think it's called card header, right? You can see it, card header, so that the header of the card is basically our title. Okay, so now when you go back, you realize that there is a way now it looks like card register with purpose of it is in a header. So you have your simple form. So we can now if you want to put it in the center, like let's say for example register with purpose of an academy in the center. So what you can do, use what we call text center. So you say text center, so it puts it in the center. Okay, so you can see where it is. So we can change the color. You can say maybe dark. Okay, so text dark. We can change. Then there's also background. There's also background color. So there's BG danger. BG danger is red. So you see it makes it red. Okay. So but that's not color. That's not nice. Or it should have actually applied to the entire header here instead of only the title. So you see the title is in what? So I think there's also secondary. Okay. So which is like gray. Then so that at least we can make text white, so that our text is white. All these classes I'm getting them from Bootstrap. So you just have to research, or not to research, just come to here and then you choose what you want. Color and background. You see, this is where I'm getting them, color and background. For example, this is the BG secondary. You see they are here. So you just have to check out. If I want like green, you can say BG success, BG dash success. But BG means background. So you can see now it's green. So you can see now we have our simple form. Then there are buttons as well. Because you expect let's put, I don't like this green thing, is too much. You can so there are buttons. It's here, buttons. Bootstrap has many interesting things that you can use. So you see they have different buttons. You can always check them here. So you can come here and we need a button for submitting our work. So you can say you put a button in its maybe put MB3. So how do we create a button? You can use input, then use type button, or use an element called button. So then what do we call it, value. Okay, submit. So submit. Okay, and when you check here, it looks weird, it looks small. You see how the button looks like? This is not nice. This is not nice. So what you do, use class from Bootstrap. It has button. Now when you put button and go and check, you can see it has changed, but it has different buttons. So there's button primary. Okay, button primary. So how does that look like? You can see how that one looks like. You see how it has changed. Okay, they have very many buttons, success, whatever, right? So um, um, uh, um, sorry, just sorry about that. We can continue. So you have a button success, which puts green, success. Okay, and when you check here, we have this one. So you can have, you see, we've not done any CSS, we are just using classes, and you see how your work looks like. But this is not nice, like it's not perfect before me, but I'm saying like you could develop something like this. This is like a nice login page, and you can achieve this with Bootstrap, like with Tailwind, whatever design, you know, without writing a lot of CSS. So for example, this login page was developed using Tailwind, and it's just consuming. Tailwind is like Bootstrap, so without doing much. Okay, if you want to increase, let's see, like padding, you can see they have also button large, button small. If you want to create a large button, you use button large. So here you come, say button, then minus lg. Lg means large. So when you come and check, see now that our button is a bit bigger. If we put button sm, it means button small. When we check, it's small. Okay, yeah. So now you have your, but of course you can put required, so that when someone on the form, on the required, I hope you guys have done this, so you know, you say required. Required means that the field is required, and so when someone clicks submit, you will see it's required. Okay, so even this one. So now if you see click, should be able to reflect that it's required here. I hope I'm not putting it on wrong. Yeah, should be able to reflect. Maybe I'm missing out something small, but that is just HTML that you should fix anytime, because yeah, should be able to reflect that this one is required. What is have I not talked about? The things that I've not talked about, you can always, if you want to create a list, a very nice list, you see, you use list group, then list group item. Yeah, you can see the very many things you can create. Yeah, if you want to create something that collapses, see, like this, you see this. Yeah, if you want to create something like that. Yeah, so if you want to create a drop down, sometimes you need like this drop down, so you can do that. If you want to create a navigation bar, some people are saying I have issues with creating a navigation bar. Then here you are. Navigation bar is like this, where you have this, like this. This is what we call navigation bar. The one you're seeing here. So you can see you created this nav bar home. So like when I copy this entire code, and good enough, they even provide you code snippets that you can start with. So that's the interesting bit with this. Okay, so if I paste it here, our nav bar, and we go and check here, you see we have our navigation bar here, with the search bar. So if we have like home, education, skills, so you can come here and say you change, say home, then where the rest of the menu items, maybe education, maybe this is a drop down. So where you have drop down, let me see what we have now. Home, education. Now there's this drop down, so you can remove one of them, or you change this one maybe to contact. Where we have the first home, where did we put it? Okay, another home is here, so we can say maybe experience. Drop down, maybe you can say projects. Then you can say maybe tech projects. Then here you say humanitarian projects, whatever, humanitarian. So you can write the right spelling there. Okay, next you can write space projects. I'm just giving you how to create, like just showing you. See, now you have your car simple, have your car simple, so you can give it background. So you can say where you have nav, so you can say bg dark. Okay, bg dark, so which will make it a dark background. So you see, are we applying something different? Let me see, background dark. Let me see what could be affecting that. So you see it's now black. Okay, then you can make these ones white. So what you do, let's see if we apply it here. You can apply on these different, maybe say text white, then you also apply where else is maybe education, text white. Or what about when we put it here? Okay, text white there. Okay, no, just have to apply it directly here on the class, then here. Okay, then yeah, so you see now they are in white. Okay, so you can remove this disabled one, it's not necessary, and you copy this. We are putting it after this one. Maybe you convert this one to contact. Okay, so you can see it. We almost have a full website. So this one, it's because we use the container. So if we put container fraud, it will occupy the entire space. So you can see it's now occupying the entire space. Our website, you know, there is a space that is being created on the margin but you can always play around it to make sure that you create something nice. Okay, yeah, can always create something nice, but I feel like I don't need let me put container here so that we can have it halfway. Yeah, any questions? I hope this is good enough for today, guys. You can explore and do wonderful things with Bootstrap. You see, we almost you can now design like a full website if you concentrate. By if you sit on this like an entire day, you have a nice portfolio. Yeah, imagine doing this in just minutes. So please, you can now design this one. This was just mere Bootstrap, make a simple portfolio. So simple, but something nice that, you know, someone can look at and be like, yeah, this is a guy. So if for other things you can explore like model, you can also see a model is like this. Okay, this is a model, is you open a model, it's like a pop-up. Let me show you like how a model looks like. Anyway, this but see, you it's something when you click on a button then it opens. Yeah, that's what we call a model. Placeholders, so you can explore. There are very many breadcrumb, see what it means as well. So So that is what I intended to show you today. This is Bootstrap. You guys have, I believe, you've gotten a good picture of Bootstrap. Go and do wonderful things with Bootstrap. You see, we almost completed like a whole website. So we can put here. I think I will publish this maybe for guys who Bootstrap tutorial, so that in the header you can have Bootstrap tutorial here. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys have learned. I invite any questions if they are. If they are not, we conclude from here. So yeah, any questions, guys? Any comments? You can if you have any comments, if you want to say anything, please, you can raise a bit like, yeah, I just want to say this. Yeah, good. Okay. All right. If there are no questions, then we can conclude from here. Okay. So thank you guys for coming through. Thank you for attending. I hope you've learned Bootstrap and how to use Bootstrap. See you in the next session. Okay. Yeah. See you in the next session where I'll be looking at other different things.